This will be kind of your segment. I'm gonna kind of just respond to what you're thinking. So should we start with Big Ten?
Yeah, I didn't really do anything too crazy, I don't think. Probably the easiest pick for me on this list was my first one, and it is Michigan winning the Big Ten. I just think they got Ohio State at home this year.
Yeah.
It hasn't mattered the last 2 years because they've just been the better team in both games. But they got them back at home this year. They do travel to Penn State. That will be a tough game for them. But other than that, I think they're going to roll through their non-conference like they usually do. And then they will.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so.
I'd hope so too. But then they'll line up with Penn State. They'll line up with Ohio State. And I think they'll win both those games.
Yeah.
And then, you know how it goes. Usually the team that wins that division wins the conference.
Yeah. Who do you think it will come out of the other side of the other division?
I think there's a couple teams. I like Iowa a lot. I like Wisconsin as well. I think my dark horse to come out of that division is Nebraska with
Matt Rule.
But I'd probably say Iowa or Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And I just think Michigan's a team that could win the whole thing this year.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
They're probably one of the few teams that can compete with Georgia.
Well, they're one of those teams where it's like we know who's going to be their quarterback. You know, we have powerhouse teams, obviously Georgia, Alabama. But I mean, there's question marks at that quarterback position, which it's causing a little hesitancy for me in those teams. And obviously Michigan, we know who that guy's going to be.
And they got the 2 stud running backs coming back.
Yeah,
Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum.
Yep. Yeah, so I don't think there's very many question marks. I'd like to see them healthy throughout the entire year. And I agree. I think Michigan will win the Big Ten and, head back to that playoff again this year. Big 12?
This is going to be the pick I regret the most. I just don't see any other team in the Big 12 that could possibly win the thing. Because Texas is the most talented team on paper in the Big 12.
That's such a tough one. Same with the Pac-12. They're both so tough.
Well, it's with the Big 12, it's like I like Kansas State at QB. I don't love them everywhere else. Deuce Vaughn was a big part of that team last year.
Yeah.
So I really want to see what Kansas State has to offer before I really, jump aboard that train. But Texas, I know what I'm getting with Texas. Quinn Ewers, I think played a lot better than the stats may show.
Yeah.
I thought he was, really good for that Texas team last year. They add A.D. Mitchell coming over from Georgia at wide receiver to an already really good wide receiver, core. There is question marks at running back with no Roshan Johnson, Roshan Johnson, Bijan Robinson are both gone. So they're going to have to place those running backs. But I think that might be a more pass-heavy Texas football team this year.
Yeah.
I think they might throw the ball a lot, and I just think they're the clear favorite.
Yeah. What about Oklahoma?
I think Oklahoma, I want to see what they look like in year 2 under Venables.
Yeah.
But I think if there is a conference to have a sleeper playoff team, it's going to be the Big 12.
To sneak one in there?
Kind of like what TCU did last year.
Yeah.
I think it would be the Big 12.
Yeah.
Somebody just goes on a run.
Because I think that I'm not saying it's not as competitive, but I am saying it's not as competitive this year.
I think it's like almost too competitive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like everybody's on like the same level, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, and that level's not elite, obviously. Like when you think of the elite teams in the country, you got the Michigans, the Georgias, the Alabamas, maybe throw in some of those Pac-12 schools.
Yeah.
I just think they're a tier below, and that's where everybody is.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if Texas goes out there with the talent they have, runs the table, 1 loss, Big 12 championship, we're looking at a dark horse team for that 4th seed in the playoff.
Definitely. And I think it depends on who that 1 loss is to. I'm assuming it's going to be to Alabama. But if they go into Alabama and get a win, oh my goodness. Yeah, I'd be full on board with what Texas is trying to do.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just don't like the other Big 12 teams enough to pick them over Texas.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Which is like picking Texas is death taxes and Texas going 8-4.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if there's one pick I'm going to regret in December, it's going to be that Texas.
It's going to be Texas. Well, the ACC, I mean, you already said Florida State, Jordan Travis, you're on that hype train. Obviously, Johnny Wilson.
FSU, baby.
Guy. FSU. Pac-12. What are you thinking?
I put two teams.
This could go to 5 different teams.
I know. I could have a new team every week.
Yeah.
But I put 2 teams. I put Oregon because I think Oregon's the most experienced. And I think Bo Nix was having a stellar season and nobody talks about it.
Yeah.
I think he had like 40 total touchdowns. He only turned the ball over a couple times. He was having a Heisman-like season before he got that leg injury against Washington. I just think Oregon, they're a year older. They're a lot more talented. I think Oregon is the team to beat right now, but that depends on if a certain quarterback is healthy. Because I think if Cam Rising's healthy, I think Utah's the team to beat in the Pac-12.
And I think they're more experienced.
Absolutely.
In a sense.
And, and it's the way football goes. If your quarterback's healthy, your football team's going to be really good.
Yeah.
There's just too many question marks. ACL injuries are usually 8, 9, 10-ish, 11 months. We're on month 8 right now. So he's barely entering that fold.
It's just tough.
It's just worrying. You know, if he comes out and plays against Florida and plays well, then I'd probably lock in Utah as my favorite.
But there's a very high probability we're not going to be seeing Cam Rising on Thursday.
Yep.
I mean, I know Kyle Whittingham as of Thursday, or as of today, so Monday, he was just denying any questions about, him and Brand Keithy, veteran tight end who's supposed to come back this year.
Yep.
So yeah, I agree. I think Utah 3-peat if they're healthy, if they come back, and we'll kind of get a glimpse of that these first 2 weeks because they got tough games.
Yeah.
To start off the season.
Florida and then Baylor.
On the road, a little Big 12
preview of next year.
Preview of that. So Oregon, but Utah if they're healthy. If they're healthy. Okay, last one, the big dogs. SEC.
I tried it really, really hard. Like really hard to put LSU here. Yeah. I wanted it to be LSU so bad. Georgia has turned into a team that is the gold standard of college football.
Yeah.
And it is no longer Alabama, at least at this moment in time.
Whew.
Georgia, the way they recruit, the way they get their guys in, the way they play football. Like Stetson Bennett was not close to one of the most talented quarterbacks in college football last year.
Yeah.
But he looked talented.
And he won back-to-back national championships.
Yep. So they're the kind of team you could put whoever you want at quarterback and it's not going to matter.
Go out and be successful. And the thing about Bama, like we mentioned earlier, I mean, they, after spring game or spring training, they went out, they grabbed Tyler Buckner.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, what's going on? What's going on there? Like, that just seems like a desperate move. Bama's a team who's, notorious for having, a top 3 quarterback in the country at that quarterback position every single year. So, for them to go and get Tyler Buckner, and for Notre Dame, it was like Sam Hartman was an upgrade.
Yep.
So to go get Tyler Buckner, who was pretty much replaced with a better quarterback, it's just like, okay, this is not like Alabama. Yep. But I think Nick Saban is obviously a phenomenal coach. I think that, if he has someone comfortable at that position, I don't think he'll have any problems winning games. But yeah, Georgia just unreal.
Yeah, and I like a repeat too of that SEC championship game last year.
Yeah.
I like Georgia LSU. I think LSU wins the division again. I think they might fall a little bit short again though in the championship game, but I do like LSU a lot. And it was really hard to not put them in.